So I almost had a three-car accident 2 nights ago. I didn't time my cooking well and was super late for my taekwondo class by the time I was done cooking. Didn't even have time to serve the kids. I just rushed out the door and started leaving voice messages to my daughter while I was driving because she was on the phone when I left. I was so overwhelmed that I didn't even remember if I had turned off the stove and oven. So as I was changing lanes on highway, I was distracted. I do know I checked the next lane before I switched, but there was this car that was driving super fast that I felt like it came out of nowhere and started honking at me like crazy. I startled and instinctively tried to switch back to my previous lane, but there was already a car there, so I had to immediately switch back again. If you're looking at my car on the outside, I was basically zigzagging between two lanes. Luckily, that honking car slowed down and didn't hit me, but I completely freaked out. At that point, I honestly wanted to just turn around and head back home. But as I was driving towards the next exit, I started shifting my focus back on driving and slowing down my breathing. I was still shaken up, but I decided to continue to go to my class. I was sad to have missed the warm up because in my taekwondo class, we begin each class by a couple minutes of mindful breathing. It's the time when we block out everything that was going on before we get to the class and shift our focus to getting ready for the class. It's the mindful gap that I absolutely needed, especially when I was running late. Now, here's the thing, even in the midst of chaos, it's possible to find moments of peace. And today, I'm going to share with you some of my favorite grounding techniques to help you regain your calm and center yourself when everything around you feels like it's spinning out of control. Whether it's due to personal challenges, work stress, or the constant noise of the world around us, feeling overwhelmed is something that we all face at one point or another. It's heavy. It feels like you're carrying the weight of the world on your shoulders. Sometimes the source is clear. Maybe you're dealing with a big life event, deadlines, emotional turmoil, or even just running late like I did. Other times, it can sneak up on you without warning, like when small stressors pile up until it all feels like too much. One of the hardest parts of feeling overwhelmed is that it can make us feel powerless, like we're trapped in a storm with no shelter. But here's something I want you to remember. No matter how intense the storm feels, you do have the power to calm the inner chaos, just like staying in the eye of a hurricane or typhoon. And that power comes from grounding yourself. So, what do I mean by grounding? Grounding is about reconnecting to the present moment. It's about pulling yourself out of the swirling thoughts, fears, or anxieties that take you out of the here and now and bringing yourself back into your body, into the present. When you're grounded, you're more centered, more connected to your inner calm, and less likely to be swept away by what's happening around you. The good news is, grounding doesn't have to be complicated. It's often the simplest techniques that work the best. I'm going to walk you through a few methods that you can use whenever you're feeling overwhelmed and need to find your center. The first technique I want to share is deep breathing. I know you've probably heard of this before, but it's one of the quickest and most effective ways to ground yourself. When we're overwhelmed, our breath tends to become shallow and quick, which only adds to the sense of panic. By taking intentional, deep breath, we can slow everything down and signal to our body that it's safe to relax. Here's a simple exercise. Inhale deeply through your nose for a count of 4. Hold for a count of 4, and then exhale slowly through your mouth for a count of 4. Let's try this. Inhale 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold it 1, 2, 3, 4. Now exhale slowly 1, 2, 3, 4. Repeat this for several cycles. You notice that your mind starts to calm and your body begins to relax. The act of focusing on your breath pulls you out of the anxious thoughts and back into the present moment. Breath is one of the most powerful tools we have for grounding because it's always with us. Anytime you're feeling overwhelmed, take a moment to focus on your breath. Let it be your anchor. The next grounding technique is what I call coming back to your senses. This is all about using your 5 senses to reconnect to the present moment. When we're overwhelmed, our mind often races ahead, filled with worries or fears about the future. By focusing on what you can physically see, hear, smell, taste, and touch, you pull yourself out of those thoughts and back into the present. Now, a simple exercise you can try is the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 technique. Here's how it works. Look around and name 5 things you can see. Listen and identify 4 things you can hear. Now find 3 things you can touch. Identify 2 things you can smell. And finally, focus on 1 thing you can taste. This practice forces you to become aware of your immediate surroundings and gives your brain something to focus on other than the chaos in your mind. It's a way of grounding yourself in reality, helping you feel more in control and less scattered. Alternatively, the I Spy game is also a fun one to help you stay present. Another powerful way to ground yourself is through physical activity, particularly by connecting with nature. Go for a walk outside, feel the ground under your feet, and let your body move. Pay attention to how the air feels on your skin, how the trees sway in the wind, how the light changes as you walk. Nature has an incredible way of calming us down and reminding us of the bigger picture. If you can, take off your shoes and stand barefoot in the grass or on the earth. This is actually a practice known as earthing or grounding, where you physically connect to the earth's surface. It might sound simple, but studies have shown that it can reduce stress and promote feelings of well-being. The key is to get out of your head and into your body. Next is to release tension in your body. Our body holds on to stress, often without us even realizing it. When you're overwhelmed, check in with your body. Are your shoulders tense? Is your jaw clenched? Or are you hunched over? One of my favorite ways is to get a massage. But you can really also just release physical tension by doing progressive muscle relaxation. It's a technique where you tense each muscle group for a few seconds and then release, like this. Tight, release. You can start with your feet and work your way up through your body. As you release the tension, imagine all of your stress melting away. Now, even small actions like stretching or rolling your shoulders or taking a few moments to consciously relax your muscles can make a huge difference. It's a reminder to your body that it doesn't need to hold on to that stress. Lastly, sometimes the overwhelm we feel comes from trying to control everything, right? We try to manage all the pieces of our lives, but in reality, so much of life is outside of our control. This can lead to a feeling of anxiety, frustration, or even failure when things don't go as planned. So, one of the most grounding things you can do is to let go of the need to have everything figured out. Remind yourself that it's okay to not have all the answers right now. Allow yourself to trust the process and focus on what you can control: your own responses, your mindset, and how you care for yourself. So, the next time you're feeling overwhelmed, remember you have the tools within you to find peace, even in the midst of chaos. Whether it's through deep breathing, reconnecting with your senses, moving your body, or simply letting go of perfection, you can ground yourself and regain your calm. And don't forget, healing and grounding are practices. They're not one time fixes. The more you practice these techniques, the more natural they'll become, and the easier it'll be to center yourself when life feels overwhelming. Thank you so much for watching. If you found this video helpful, be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more content like this. And if you have your own grounding techniques or tips, feel free to share them in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. Stay grounded, stay peaceful, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.